Okay, so the week after WrestleMania is over. Well, I mean, the actual week isn't over yet. It's Thursday, but as far as wrestling is concerned, the week after WrestleMania is over. I mean, okay, there's 205 Live or whatnot. I'm not trying to bag on any one show. I mainly talk about Raw and SmackDown and NXT every now and then when I really feel like it or after a takeover or something, right? So as far as Raw and SmackDown are concerned, the week after WrestleMania is over. And who didn't like that show on Monday? I mean, I know a lot of people were complaining about the main event, which I kind of think is dumb to complain about that main event. And I'll tell you why. First of all, the main event, for those who maybe don't know, I guess, early in the night, Kofi Kingston was out celebrating, or maybe Seth Rollins was out celebrating first. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Seth Rollins was out celebrating the fact that he's the new Universal Champion and he beat Brock Lesnar and all that stuff. And Kofi comes out and says that it's really cool that you did that and all, but how about we have a champ versus champ match, winner take all? And the crowd is like, whoa. And Seth's like, well, sure. You know what I mean? He's all in, which I just find to be crazy. You've had it for a day. You both had it for a day. And they're both these huge baby faces. What are they're going to lose their titles after a day? I mean, I know WWE's done it before, but I really didn't expect that this time. And the whole time, I'm talking to my buddy Scott, who was on one of two people I've actually had on to talk with on the show. And if you remember that, he knows a lot about wrestling, and he's a very dedicated fan and very astute. You know what I mean? So. He's texting me and he's like, whoa, dude. And he's marking out over this match. And I'm sitting there going, I guess I'm marking out over it too, but I'm marking out in the opposite direction. I'm like, are you kidding me? One of these guys is only gonna be champion for a day. Like that was I was like, and the brand split is just over. Like that's how I felt. And then of course by the end, Seth and Kofi's match, you get 5 or 7 minutes of a really good Seth versus Kofi match that is interrupted by the bar. And then Seth comes up with the idea that he and Kofi should tag team against the bar. And then you get 5 to 7 minutes of a really good tag team match. So I don't and also neither of the big baby faces that you wanted to win titles at WrestleMania is now just unceremoniously without a title. Why were so many people booing? That's just good. That's good writing. That's good booking. I mean, they can't do it all the time. You don't want to see that kind of thing every week. And every time there's a big announcement, it somehow gets swerved into a smaller thing. That's bad. But doing it in a situation like this, the day after WrestleMania, you have two big baby faces that people have been waiting for a long time to win these respective titles. You also, having a champ versus champ match brings the brand split, like I had said, into question a little bit. And all of those things are neat, but it's a bit like throwing a giant rock at a glass house that you just built the day after WrestleMania. Like you just built this glass house, man, and now you're going to throw a friggin' rock at it yourself the day after you built it. You're not even going to maybe break it down over time, enjoy destroying your glass house. You're just going to break it. Like that's what this would have been. And I'm much happier with feeling the way I felt all night that like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening and we'll see how this is going to go. And then being like, okay, I knew we weren't good, but you still got two good matches and they didn't screw the story up this early. Like I would imagine that the brand split might effectively end this year, with SmackDown going to Fox. I think that's not. I mean, who could say that that's like something they can't see coming, right? Fox wants all the biggest stars. But they didn't buy the main show because I think at the time when Universal, I believe Universal or NBC, I think they're the same company. NBC though owns USA, and some Universal might not be. That might just be me conflating something. But either way, NBC owns USA, right? And when they decided not to renew the contract for SmackDown Live, I'm not 100% sure of this, but I could only imagine that at the time, SmackDown Live wasn't doing as well as Raw in ratings. So Fox didn't have the opportunity to buy the A show. They had to buy the B show. The B show. We all know it's been better lately, and not just lately. Like it's been better for pretty consistently for a year. It's been better, maybe even more than a year. So, but in the eyes of like, I think the suits at a network and people who don't really follow the show, it's easy to call SmackDown the B show. Raw was first. Raw is 3 hours long. SmackDown's 2 hours long. You get what I mean. So Fox didn't have the opportunity to buy the A show. They had the opportunity to buy the B show. That was the one that was for sale, essentially. And now it seems like they're trying to, as a part of the deal, all the reports that I've read kind of suggest that they're strong-arming Vince McMahon into making SmackDown the A show. And I don't think he's going to do that. I think he would rather end the brand split for now. For that time. Maybe we'll get in the first I think that starts in September on Fox. I could be wrong, but I think it starts in September on Fox. And that's only half a year until the next Superstar Shakeup or the next Wrestlemania, which I've also heard that Wrestlemania 2020, their hope is to have that on Fox like the Super Bowl with Wrestlemania commercials and, on network television, not have Wrestlemania be a pay-per-view of any kind, but have it be just the biggest show of the year. It's still a pay-per-view, but you don't have to buy it. Anybody could watch it. I could just see that we have the Superstar Shakeup. We maintain the mirage of a brand split until next WrestleMania. Fox just has to deal with it for 6 months, and it wouldn't surprise me if next week you saw people like Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey. Even if she's not going to be on TV for the next year, her name might get drafted over to SmackDown anyway. Don't be surprised if some of the bigger stars from a outside of wrestling standpoint, guys who have been maybe more featured in movies, guys who've been more featured in pop culture, they'll all be on SmackDown. Don't be surprised if that's the case, because they're trying to make that brand more valuable for Fox and without hurting Raw so much. And so Raw is probably going to be, in Vince McMahon's mind, I think he's wrong, but let's just try to take a dive into that crazy head of his for a minute and imagine how he sees this. He's going to see this as though fans of professional wrestling and his brand of sports entertainment will still view Raw as the main show. But people who are, maybe passing fans of wrestling and sports entertainment, but really, are connected to pop culture as a hobby of theirs, are going to find they would look at the roster and assume that SmackDown was the A show. And so the suits at Fox will look at the roster and be like, well, SmackDown's got Brock Lesnar, SmackDown's got Ronda Rousey, whenever she decides to come back. SmackDown's got oh man, now that I'm trying to do a list like this, I'm gonna John Cena. SmackDown officially has John Cena. SmackDown officially has The Undertaker. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if that's what happens at Superstar Shakeup, where we get, like, I would imagine Shinsuke is going to go to Raw because he is a guy who wrestling fans like, right? The Hardys, both of them. I've been wondering what was going to happen with the Hardys because Matt Hardy came back to SmackDown. Excuse me. He came back to SmackDown instead of Raw. And, I kind of thought maybe they'd be bouncing back and forth between the two shows. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Hardys are kind of a name at this point. At the very least, they kind of fit in with that pop culture thing and not people who regularly watch wrestling thing, because if you've been a fan of wrestling at any time in the last 20 years, you know who the Hardys are. So, guys like that are going to be on SmackDown. And then Raw is going to have maybe AJ Styles, who's, again, maybe as far as pop culture here within the United States, I'd certainly say that he's probably one of the more internationally popular guys in the WWE, right? But just, continentally here, maybe not as popular and therefore valuable to a brand like Fox as Brock Lesnar or, John Cena. And John Cena, for me, right now is mostly associated with SmackDown anyway, but I don't know if that's just because that's the show that WWE 2K18 had him on. I don't know why it's so much trouble saying that. They had him assigned to SmackDown, and that might be why I think of him in that way, but I do. Let's see here. SmackDown had some interesting things on it. Between Raw and SmackDown, we get a couple of face-offs between Becky Lynch and Lacey Evans. And she's doing some funny stuff on Twitter. Lacey is right now, too, as well. Or maybe it was Instagram. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm intrigued by that. We have the Sassy Southern Belle is that's the moniker for Lacey Evans right now. That's her gimmick right now. She calls people nasties and mostly just acts like she's kind of above everything, right? And so it doesn't surprise me that she would have a natural, what's the word I'm looking for here? A natural problem, a natural feeling of disdain for Becky Lynch going around calling herself the man, and Lacey's always wearing nice dresses. Well, I don't know if they're nice or not, but dresses and stuff with her hats and shit like that, whereas Becky comes out and she's a little bit more, obviously way more, she looks tougher and displays a more masculine call it masculine, but I mean, she does call herself the man. So a bit more masculine aggression out of Becky Lynch than comes out of Lacey Evans. So I think that they are a natural pairing as far as, you know, a face and a heel to have heat with each other. So I'm all about Becky and Lacey Evans. We get on SmackDown, there was a couple of 6-man tag matches that I actually really liked. The Bar and Drew McIntyre versus the New Day was actually really fun. And but the 6-man tag match of the night easily goes to Aleister Black and Ricochet. I think. It was Mustafa Ali, Aleister Black, Ricochet versus Shinsuke Nakamura, Rusev, and Andrade. And this was a dope match. I pretty much liked everything about it. There was a lot of really good spots between the group. My favorite thing about it is at the end, Ali hits the 054 and gets a pin. But Randy Orton shows up and RKO's him. So that's cool if we're going to have a little bit of a feud between Randy Orton and Mustafa Ali. WWE needs to stop just calling him Ali. Mustafa Ali was, I mean, maybe this has something to do with the Saudi Arabia. Maybe Mustafa isn't like a name that they like over. I don't know like the differences between. I do know that we learned the lesson. The United States government, learned the lesson the hard way with the Iraq War that not all, you know, Arabic and Muslim peoples are the same. Not all of them have the same culture and same customs. You know, I don't know how somebody didn't know that. I was, 14, so I didn't know that. But I don't know how somebody working in the State Department didn't know that. But that's not the point. The point is maybe they don't like the name Mustafa in that particular country, and the WWE has this relationship with them. They're trying to. I'm just speculating. I just don't know why they dropped the Mustafa out of Mustafa Ali. It makes no sense. Now he's just Ali. I don't get it. But anyway, I'm going to continue to call him Mustafa Ali. And Randy Orton hits Mustafa Ali with an RKO that's, thrilling and entertaining. And if they're going to have a feud, great. But the cool thing that happens immediately after that is Kevin Owens shows up and hits Randy Orton not Randy Orton. Randy Orton rolls out of the ring. And Rusev is kind of just standing over Mustafa Ali like maybe he is going to take advantage of Mustafa in his weakened state. And that is where Kevin Owens shows up out of nowhere and hits Rusev with a stunner, kind of reinforcing maybe the relationship between Kevin Owens and Mustafa Ali. They've kind of had a bit of a partnership going for the last, what's it been, 3 weeks, a month, something like that. And kind of reinforces Kevin Owens as a babyface, which is something that I certainly didn't think was going to last that long. I thought they were just doing that so that we didn't have to see Kofi and Daniel Bryan fight 5 times before WrestleMania and be over it by then. So who knows? But it reinforces Kevin Owens as a little bit of a babyface. He's going out there, he's using a babyface move like the stunner that really gets the crowd over and everything. And he's defending a big fan favorite, at least a guy the WWE wants us to feel as a fan favorite. But I mean, we used to call him the heart of 205 Live and stuff like that. So I feel like he probably is a fan favorite. I like him in Mustafa Ali. Kind of really helps us. I thought maybe Sami Zayn was going to come back and start working programs with Kevin Owens. But he's not. That's the other thing that happened this week over on Raw. Before I forget, I'm trying to do one video for both shows this week, and I might just go back to the way I used to do it next week. But I wanted to try this because so much happened this week, and yet I feel like I've already put out a couple hours of content this week, and I didn't want everybody to have to sit here and watch 40 more minutes. If they wanted to watch it, if they wanted to, they might look at it and go, I mean, I want to watch it, but he just did two more 25-minute videos, so I'm going to try and keep this to like one 20 to 25-minute video, and I'm running out of time. I don't know, Sami Zayn came back. Like I said, Sami Zayn came back. He came back and he fought Finn Balor for the Intercontinental Championship, and he lost. And after he lost, he got on the mic and said that, I have a feeling you guys missed me. And he got this huge pop. And he's like, yeah, but I didn't miss any of you. And this all sucks. And none of you are worth what I'm doing coming out here and all this stuff, being a real jerk. And I think he came out on Smackdown. Now that I think about it, I do think he showed up on Smackdown. He did. He showed up, he had a microphone, and was just like, forget it, you guys aren't worth it, and just went right back. He didn't even make it out to the ring. He just showed up, said you guys aren't worth it right in front of the Titantron, and left. So Sami Zayn is going to be a heel now. And I kind of always loved to hate Sami Zayn. I definitely missed him. But not from like I don't like him. I like that he's in WWE because he's good to hate. But yeah, so Sami Zayn's totally back, and he's not teaming back up with KO. KO definitely seems like he's fully entrenched in this Mustafa Ali thing, and we'll see how long that lasts. I would imagine that Kevin Owens' next heel turn will have something to do with Mustafa Ali, or maybe they'll turn heel together. But I don't think that's a good look for WWE to do with any like Middle Eastern descended people to make them heels. Kind of harkens back to a rough age. Optically for the company, wouldn't you say? I would. That might not be a good idea, but at the same time, I think like a huge baby face like Mustafa Ali kind of teaming with Kevin Owens for a while, and and that's how they could make. Okay, so I'm gonna write a quick storyline for all of y'all, and I just figured out how we could make this work without it maybe being harkening back to some bad old days, So Kevin Owens and Mustafa Ali worked together for a while, and maybe they try to take down Matt and Jeff for the tag team championships, right? And are unable to do so. And in the process of being unable to do so, or maybe they are unable to get a tag team championship match. Maybe they beat Matt and Jeff in a non-title match and then don't get the respect of getting a title match after that. And Kevin Owens influences Mustafa Ali like, dude, we're not getting any respect. They don't respect you. They don't respect me. It's time to take things into our own hands. And then they do that and they turn heel together, right? And then after so much time, a few weeks, a month, maybe 2 months, Mustafa realizes that he's had like the devil on his shoulder, and Kevin Owens, who always sees the world as though he's a victim and yada, 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 and decides to turn face by essentially breaking up with KO. KO then turns double heel by, attacking Mustafa Ali for breaking up that partnership. And then Mustafa Ali and Kevin Owens, they have a feud. That's how you write that storyline without it harkening back to days of like the Iron Sheik, right? I think that's how you do that. And I think it would be interesting. Quick hits here at the end. Mojo Rawley had a blue thing painted on his face. and was talking to himself in a broken mirror again. And where are you? There you are. So maybe he's going to get interesting. I think Mojo Rawley is good enough in the ring to, if you write his character right, he's not a bore to see in matches if those matches mean something in a story that is also good. All of that has to come together for him to be interesting. Maybe they're doing that. If he had the blue thing painted on his face at all recently, I missed it. I had to watch the last handful of Raws on Hulu, and it's only an hour and a half, and they don't even show Mojo at all because apparently we don't need to see that. Let's see. What else do I want to mention real quick? The Iconics defended their championship against a nobody tag team, and Paige said that she has a tag team waiting. She's going to bring out next week to face the Iconics, as though she wants to make their tag team title reign more difficult than they want to make it. But if you want to see good matches, then you don't want to see them teaming up with the Brooklyn Bombshells or whatever those random enhancement talent ladies were called. So who I think she's bringing? The Sky Pirates. I think the Sky Pirates are coming on to SmackDown next week. Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, no more NXT. They're coming to SmackDown. Or maybe they'll still be on NXT the way they were kind of doing with Ricochet and Aleister Black for a little bit. But they're coming to SmackDown next week. I really think it. And they're going to be the team that Paige has to put up against the Iconics. All right, I'm out. See you guys next week.